Guys, what you need to do, you need to use other people, see how they move, and then learn for yourself. A lot of you guys don't have fathers in your home to tell you what the deal is. A lot of y'all's uncles aren't going to tell you what the deal is. Lord knows your mother is not going to tell you what the real deal is. Not that she doesn't love you, she just doesn't know from your perspective the information that you need. Your best friends are clueless as you. Guys, what we have here is an example that there are so many lessons. There are so many lessons that I need to tell you guys.
But that's not my point. That's not my point. Do you understand that there's something unethical about taking a person's name and their thing and sending it to your fans so they can go harass the person?
That is 100% unethical. I can't lie about that.
Right, and I'm saying, and you participated in that. Don't you see how that reflects poorly on you as well?
It doesn't.
You went in and you sent her a foul message, my friend.
It does. I did because I had to, bro. I had to defend.
You had to send her a foul message?
Good evening. Welcome to another video. You've seen the title of this video. You can tell it's going to be a pretty deep one. So stick with me. I'm going to try not to keep it too long. If you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button, give me a thumbs up, and let's get going. Over the last 2 weeks or so, there's been three major issues in areas that I follow that have all suffered or displayed the same problem. We're going to take a look at it, and you're probably wondering, what in the world does the Fresh and Fit situation, the UK incident, and Afghanistan all have in common? It really comes down to how we are training boys to become men. Frankly, as a society, we are failing in a lot of regards. I'm going to start with the UK incident just because I don't want to say the guy's name and it's very quick to talk about. Everything I found, and unfortunately the media and YouTube and Reddit decided to make it very difficult to research this. Thank you for that, by the way. Everything I was able to find about what his situation was comes back to one thing. And the media is getting it all wrong. I've seen... and I think Kevin Ray Wilder actually did a clip on his as well, where he looked at what they were reaching out to, quote-unquote, experts, and they were saying, we need to shut down these Reddits, we need to shut down these forums, we need to get these videos removed off YouTube so we don't turn more guys into this. It's like, no, you're trying to treat symptoms of the problem. You're not looking at what the actual problem is. And this is frustrating as all hell to watch journalists do this. They're looking only at the surface level. They're not asking the question, well, why did that guy go down that rabbit hole? Why did he get sucked into this, and why did it affect him in such a way? In reality, he needed guidance. He also might have needed to see a therapist and work on some of his mental health, but the primary problem that he had was he didn't know how to deal with life. He didn't know how to be a man. He thought that if he had a woman, he would be happy and everything would be great. The Disney fairy tale. They got married and lived happily ever after. I'll tell you right now, marriage is the beginning. This is a disagreement I had with the Grand Cam on a stream with Kevin Ray Wilder and Coach Whitepill. I guess it was probably, 3 or 4 days ago now. He was making it sound like you get married and you've won the game. Game's over. You're a winner. No. Guys don't realize that's just the beginning of the game. You barely got out of the first quarter. The big problem he had was he thought that if he was able to get a woman, he'd be happy. And since he couldn't get a woman, he wasn't happy. What's the point of life? And he blamed the fact that he couldn't get a woman on women because they didn't want him because he's too fat and too ugly, whatever. If he had a strong male role model in his life to teach him, hey, yeah, life isn't just about getting a girl. Life is about leaving a legacy, making your mark, a positive mark on the world. However, whatever it means for you to do that. And that's where all the journalists screwed up, because they're all sitting there talking about banning stuff. They shouldn't try and hide the content, because what's going to end up happening is, instead of making it more difficult, what they're going to do is make it more difficult to find the people who need the help. The important thing I want you to take away from that situation, and the reason I'm not saying his name because I don't want to encourage copycats, if you find yourself going down that rabbit hole of, I can't get a girl because I'm too ugly and too fat and I can't do anything about it, stop. Go get help. If you see a friend or a family member going down that rabbit hole where they're making excuses for themselves, don't degrade them, don't bash them, don't try and shame them. It's not likely to work. Try and get them help. Try to help them if you can. If you're able to, try to help lift them up and realize, hey, you think you're ugly because you're fat. Let's work on that. You think you can't get a job because you don't have XYZ skill set. Okay, let's work on getting you that skill set. Let's develop that. It's not going to happen overnight. It's work. But let's work towards your goal. Let's accomplish something. If you can help them that. Now, granted, somebody who's going to end up in a homicidal rage is also likely to need a therapist, so please encourage them to seek help so they can work out what those issues are as well. The life issues, all they need was a strong male role model, and ideally it's your father. If you have a strong father figure in your life, it makes it much easier to cope with life and cope with the difficulties of life. Moving on, what does that have to do with the fresh and fit situation? Well, it's the same thing. If you look at and I'm not talking about them in particular, but if you look at their fans, the guys that are in my comments and Kevin Rewalder's comments on the Duke and Don channel and the Lead Attorney channel, like spitting a whole bunch of nonsense in the comments.
That's not my point. Do you understand that there's something unethical about taking a person's name and their thing and sending it to your fans so they can go harass the person?
That is 100% unethical. I can't lie about that.
Right. And I'm saying, and you participate in that. Don't you see how that reflects poorly on you as well?
It doesn't.
You went in and you sent her a foul message, my friend.
It does. I did, because I had to, bro. If I said, hey, Anna Quinn, I don't like what you did. This podcast is way more than just you. It could teach men so much more. Would I have gotten a response? Would I have been here? Would I have been able to tell these people about how much this podcast is improved and how
you're moving backwards, bro. I want you to think about this, okay? Earlier, you said something that was interesting. But I thought it was kind of crazy, but it was interesting. You said, I can never pay your box. Imagine what your mom would say. Imagine what your mom would find out and think if she found out that you were DMing women foul things because you're very loyal to a friend. Do you think that's a good look? Do you think that's a good look for your character? Huh?
She know I'm kind of crazy, bro. Like I have to do what I got to do. Like you know what I'm saying?
You went to a woman you don't know to say foul things to her.
Look,
I am. Young man, you know what? If you're the kind of man, if Fresh and Fit is breeding you into this kind of man, I think 100%. I'm gonna say this because you're saying out of loyalty to them, you're gonna go say foul things to strangers, bro. I don't think you realize how crazy.
This is what you're not.
I'm gonna tell you, bro. This is sad, and one day I promise you, bro, you're gonna look back on this moment and realize that you sending that DM and then you coming on this podcast afterwards to defend that shit is crazy. You also need to have some accountability for what you did, brother. Nobody made you go do that. You did, and you owe that woman an apology.
I believe this guy, 360 Blessings, has since had his come to Jesus moment after he had that talk with Preach, and I don't know how genuine it is, but at the very least, he seems. I believe he's going on Duke and Don later today. At the time I'm recording this, he hasn't gone on yet, but I believe he's going on and to make a public apology to Anna Quinn for the foul stuff that he sent her. And I really hope that it was a light bulb moment for him that, hey, I'm on the wrong path and this isn't working. I've got to fix something. And if that's the case, he can work towards redemption, and I wish him well. And hopefully the conversation he had with Duke and Don and Abba, I guess it was 3 or 4 days ago, will help him get on the right path. And this is what I'm talking about. He was looking for, and this is what all the other fanboys are looking for, he was looking for a real male role model. He found a couple guys, Myron Gaines and Walter Weeks, who claimed they had what he wanted. They were getting all the girls. They had all the money. They're living it up in Miami. It's all fake, but they're able to put on a show. And they got all these guys that are in their chat and look, I've given them a super chat when they had Austin Dunham on. I think it's the one and only time I've given them a super chat. And it's because I'm a big fan of Austin Dunham. Unfortunately, I learned afterwards that their super chats they don't share with the guests. All those guys that are in the chat going, no, you stop attacking my guys. Well, you just clout chasing, blah, blah, blah. No. It's not. We are seeing that they're setting a bad example. They're turning you into a bad human, a bad man. The sad part of it is, in my opinion, they're doing it to pull money out of your pocket.
The party. What I'm talking about is scamming the clients or scamming the subs is that you have to understand the degree of behind the scenes talk that is had. So these things that I'm saying about Myron, I'm not like making assumptions. I'm not like trying to guess where he's coming from. This motherfucker verbalizes this shit when the cameras is off. So he says that he doesn't give a fuck about the subs. He says that he doesn't respect you dudes. He thinks that you guys are a bunch of sad, lonely, pathetic losers. And what he's doing is he's capitalizing on your loneliness. And you're right. He's monetizing your despair the same way that the fucking weight loss industry takes advantage of overweight people.
They don't care about you. They don't care about helping you. All they care about is money. So you're going out there and effectively white knighting for them when they're just reaching in your pocket and taking everything they can. And don't believe me? Look at their super chats. They're getting $200, $500, $700 super chats from guys that really shouldn't be sending them any money at all. How we got here was we have raised a generation. I want to bring up the statistics here. This is from the fatherless generation. It's a WordPress article, but they are citing statistics from various government agencies. What happens when you don't have a strong male role model as a young man? Typically, one of two things happens. Either you go looking for one, or you become nihilistic and act out, or a combination of the two. Many times when they go looking for one, because they weren't told how to identify the right male role models, you're kind of rolling the dice as to whether or not you find a good one or a bad one. For example, you might come across the roommates who encourage you to level up in all areas of your life, not focus on girls, not treat people with disrespect. Or they find something like Fresh and Fit, who has a large platform. They still have a large platform despite the fact that they lost a ton of subscribers this week. And they see how they treat women, how they treat people. You're like, that's what I need to do. That's how I become quote-unquote alpha. I want to let you guys in a little secret. And I had this discussion in my comments with a couple people on a couple other videos. That's what I define alpha. The most simple definition of alpha is a guy who other guys want to be and girls want to be with. The reason I really like that definition of alpha, if you are calling yourself alpha, you are by definition not alpha. The same goes for high value. And when they like to talk about high value men or high value, and they say high value women don't exist, which is a load of crap. And I'll explain why. In the sexual marketplace or in the relationship marketplace, they're two separate markets. They're related, but they're slightly different. Your value is determined by your customer. So whether you're a high value male is because, a heterosexual male in particular, it's because other women in general want to be with you. There's a significant number of them that want to be with you, who would like to get with you. Same goes for the flip side. If you're a high value female, it means you got a lot of guys who want to get with you. And I get it. You're gonna, there's some guys who say, well, any girl can walk into a bar and get any guy. Yeah, that's not what I'm talking about. Let's say you've got 100 people at a bar, 10 of them are female. So you've got a 9-to-1 ratio. Yes, any one of those guys will probably take any one of those girls, given the opportunity. However, if you stand them up and give them their choice as to which ones they would prefer, those are going to be the high-value females. Those are the ones who are in demand. And that's how the sexual marketplace works. That's how the dating marketplace works. So when you see Myron say, there's no such thing as a high-value female, it's a load of crap. He doesn't know what he's talking about. It's because the reason he doesn't know what he's talking about is because he doesn't know how to date. And you're like, oh, and he's got all these girls. Dude, he's going on secret arrangements and trying to claim that he's going on a site where women are looking to get paid and claiming he doesn't pay them. So when they see these guys that they think have what they want, and they start following them, start imitating them, runs them down a rabbit hole. And they can really screw up their lives. And this is the kind of stuff that can happen here. So without a father in the home, 63% of youth suicides are in fathers' homes. Now that's both men and women. So that means that sons and daughters are in there. Same with runaways. 90% of runaways are in fatherless homes. 85% of children who show behavior disorders, in other words, lack of discipline, fatherless homes. 80% of guys who force themselves and anger problems come from fatherless homes. They weren't taught how to be men. 71% of all high school dropouts come from fatherless homes. They weren't told how to build themselves up. They weren't encouraged to build themselves up. So I want to jump straight down into the incarceration things, because this is the other one. Even controlling for income, use in a father-absent home had a significantly higher odds of incarceration than those with both parents. Youth who never had a father in the household experienced the highest odds. The 2002 study showed that 7,000 inmates revealed that 39% of the inmates lived in a mother-only household. 46% of the inmates had a previously incarcerated family member, and 1/5 experienced father in prison. In other words, roughly 40% never knew their father. There was another, here it is. 85% of all youths in prison come from a fatherless home. This was in Texas. This is a study in Texas, but there's also been studies in California, in U.S. Nationwide, that have shown similar statistics. What the percentage is typically ranges a little bit, but it's the lowest I've seen is about 70%, and the highest is up to 90%. Basically, when you go in there and you start talking to the inmates and finding out their family situation, I'm not talking about petty crime stuff. I'm talking about hardened criminals, guys who end up with murder, forced contact, assault, those kind of things. You talk to them and repeat offenders, this is what the statistics. A lot of them didn't have a father figure, or their father was also in jail. And this is I had one guy ask on a comment why I cared. I'm not in the game. I've got kids. I've got a daughter who's the age of some of the girls that they're putting on their show. I've got sons who I want to grow up to be strong men. I don't want them growing up and thinking that this is the way to go. The whole reason I started making videos. So the first video I made was actually the Tommy Lauren thing. That's because I found it hilarious. But after that, I started thinking about where I wanted to go with the channel. And my main focus on what I wanted to do was to leave a message for my kids on how to live a better life. Learn lessons, not just from their mistakes, learn from my mistakes, learn from the mistakes of others so you don't make them again.
Guys, what you need to do, you need to use other people, see how they move, and then learn for yourself. A lot of you guys don't have fathers in your home to tell you what the deal is. A lot of y'all's uncles aren't going to tell you what the deal is. Lord knows your mother is not going to tell you what the real deal is. Not that she doesn't love you, she just doesn't know from your perspective the information that you need. Your best friends are clueless as you. Guys, what we have here is an example that there are so many lessons. There are so many lessons that I need to tell you guys.
These are the kind of things that you want to avoid. We want to avoid raising kids without knowing their father. We need their fathers in the household, making sure that the kids are raised correctly, making sure that they grow up to know how to be proper humans, proper men, proper women, know how they should act, have respect for themselves and respect for their fellow men. You might be wondering how all this relates to Afghanistan. I know it's going to sound kind of a stretch, but stick with me here for a second. When you don't know what it is to be a leader or how to identify a good leader, you end up putting somebody in charge who doesn't know what the hell they're doing. Now, I typically stay out of politics on this channel because I just don't want to turn it into a thing. And love Trump or hate Trump, I don't care. He's not wrong here. This whole situation in Afghanistan, and some people might go, oh, this is a blaze. Oh, let me scroll this up so you can see the title here. I'm not going to read the whole article because the headline is the article basically on here. You know, some people might bash the source. I don't care about the source. What I care about is the quote, where he's saying that what we've done here is effectively the captain jumped off the ship first. If you imagine that, if you've seen the movie Titanic, where the captain and the first mate stay on the ship until everybody's off, and then they end up drowning themselves because everybody didn't get off. That is what leaders typically have done, is if you are the leader, you make sure everybody else is taken care of first. Myron and Walter, by de facto, have basically become a leader of a rather large group of mostly young boys. I've seen the metrics on the guys that watch my stuff and that are coming from the Fresh and Chit channel. They typically range in age from about 18 to about 34. That's like 75% of their base, which means it's mostly guys in their 20s who are lost, looking for a leader, looking for somebody to show them the way. What we did with the last election is we didn't like Trump because he made mean tweets. So we put in a guy who for 50 years has been in government, and they assumed that he knew what he was doing because he had been there for that long. And unfortunately, we find out he has no clue what he's doing. And the results are devastating. Same problem runs into, on a smaller level, when you follow the wrong leader and you follow too far down. So if you're to continue following Fresh and Fit, taking their advice on things, and don't get me wrong, and I even mentioned this on a stream with Kevin and with Kevin Rewalder and Alex from Playing with Fire. Their high level points are correct. Take care of your finances. Take care of your fitness. Don't worry about women. Focus on yourself. Focus on improving yourself. I agree with all of that. Where I disagree, and I think Coach Whitepool actually went through and totaled up how much time they actually spent talking about those topics versus talking about women, and the proportion is vastly different. Their most popular shows are their after hours shows where they bring in 3, 4, 5, 8, 9 girls and basically try and dunk on them. Those are their most popular shows by far. Their most popular shows aren't the ones where they sit there and talk about finance or fitness. Now, don't get me wrong. there are details in their finances and fitness recommendations that are wrong, but their high level point of improving your fitness, improving your finance, on point. I commend them for pushing that. However, they don't focus on it. That isn't their primary focus. Their focus is on getting girls. And really their focus is on extracting money out of you so they can use that money to get girls. I've got no problem with people making money. My problem is the hypocrisy. If you fake caring about somebody, fake saying, hey, I want you to improve, give me $1,000, we'll talk about it, and I'll get you on the right path. And really, for you, all it is about that $1,000. You couldn't care less about the person you're talking to. That's what bothers me. So here, Duke and Don was actually talking to this kid, 360 Blessings, who sent some really foul stuff in DMs to Anna Quinn after the whole situation broke out when Myron effectively sent his army of followers after her. Abba, who's on vacation right now, dials into this stream completely free of charge and tries to talk to this guy and say, hey, look, you're on the wrong path. You need to take a close look at yourself and figure out, this is a guy who cares about his audience. He's not making money off this. He's getting no money. Duke and Don is a completely separate channel. He didn't pay him nothing to that. He's not 360 plus. He isn't paying him for advice. He dialed in on his vacation and said, no, I can help this guy. I can try and help this guy. Wake up. You won't see Myron and Walter doing that. They're going to charge you, what, $500, $1,000 an hour to give them a call and help, they'll work out an issue. Like I said, I got no problem with you making money. But when it's obvious that for you it's all about the money and not about the person, and then you are on top of that, you're saying one thing over here and doing something else way over here, bothers the hell out of me. So that's a bad example, and it's putting a lot of these guys down the wrong path. And we end up, when we have a whole bunch of people on the wrong path and don't understand how to identify a good leader, putting people in charge that have no business being in charge. As we can see in the Afghanistan situation, when you push people to leadership roles who don't know how to lead and don't know what the hell they're doing, bad things happen. Taking it back to the personal level here, if you blindly follow somebody because they say they have the answers, despite the fact that their actions prove they don't have the answers, they don't have what you're looking for, and they aren't a good role model, take a step back. I'm doing two things in this video that I typically don't do. I'm going to bring some religion in here too as well. And not trying to convert anybody, but this is a quote from the New Testament that is really applicable here. And it's coming from Luke chapter 6, verses 43 to 45. For a good tree does not bear bad fruit, nor does a bad tree bear good fruit. For every tree is known by its fruit. For men do not gather figs from thorns, nor do they gather grapes from bramble bush. A good man out of good treasure of his heart brings forth good things. An evil man out of the treasure of his heart brings forth evil. For the abundance of his heart his mouth speaks. All that's saying is you can judge the activities of somebody by what they're producing. If you see a guy who's claiming to help men improve, and they're becoming hateful, bitter, ugly people, not a good guy to follow. Same time, if you see somebody who's preaching self-improvement and he's helping uplift people, helping them become better people, they're kind, they're gentlemen, they are leveling up their lives, it's a good example to follow. As you're looking at all these self-proclaimed self-improvement gurus that are all over the internet right now, or even when you were looking at our political leaders, look at what they produce. Look at their output. Is their output hate? Or is their output good? So with that, I'm going to end the video here today. Hope everybody has a great day. And in the meantime, you guys can enjoy all the drama that's going on right now. But hit that subscribe button, give me a thumbs up, and until next time, keep improving.